Hey guys, it's Julesy, and yeah, we're gonna keep with this red background because this is what we got for now. We don't know if this is gonna be a thing or not for the rest of the year, but we're gonna work on it. And let's talk about the books that I read in 2017. Girl. Alright, so to get into what I read in 2017, some of this stuff has obviously, well, most of these books have been featured in my other book list. I will link down below, or you can click in the eye above to check out that playlist, because I have curated several playlists of book recommendations, and I will be launching the book club this year. It's gonna happen. We're working on it, but you know, shots my brown girl, Patreon, Cash App, yeah. There will be a blog post and links down below to all these books that I will mention here. I'm gonna start with the books that I finished reading, and then because I do stop and start a lot of books, I will name just all the books that I kind of like at some point picked up and read. Yeah, Jessie, Homegoing, amazing. I have definitely mentioned this in my last book list. Every time I see somebody reading this, I'm like, girl, beautiful, beautiful. I was crying on my 16-hour flight to Hong Kong. Girl, longest flight ever. Woo! This book right here, Sing, Unburied, Sing by Jessamine Ward. I went bought all her other books because this one was everything. I might just read it again for the hell of it. Loved it. Amazing. Yes. I'm Not a Feminist. This is the one white woman book I read this year, and girl, I felt like she was almost gathering my edges. I was like, wait, hold on. I'm a feminist, but I'm not white. I'm a black feminist, girl. She talking about the white feminists, well, they need to do better, girl. It's a play on words. It is a feminist manifesto. It does talk about the commodification of feminism. It talks about how feminism is just made to be, has been sanitized and watered down and made palatable for white people, and to make you feel good about yourself, but not actually to do any change. And it's just a really, really good read if you have any questions about feminism. It is straightforward. It will also make you look differently at Twitter, for sure. Actually, after I finished reading this, I was like, ooh, I need to log off that site. I just need an echo chamber of wrongness is what I need to let go of. What it means when a man falls from the sky. I did mention this in another book list, and I did actually read this book. I read it standing up. Like, I read it in an hour. It's a collection of short stories. Amazing. Will hit you in the chest, in the gut, in the throat, bruh. You know, somewhere between here and my pelvic bone. It's gonna hit you and it's gonna hit you hard. It was just like, girl, how you gonna end a story like that? All the feels. I have been talking about this book for forever because it changed my life. Like, Pedagogy of the Oppressed. I even know how to say the word now. Okay, pedagogy. You be reading words that you don't ever hear nobody say. Okay. Look, I live in Dallas. Who am I talking to about this stuff? I can't hear y'all. Y'all talk back, but I read it back. I don't like hear it back, so it's okay. But I appreciate y'all that gracefully help me with my grammar. This is a really good book. I don't know that anyone, I've mentioned this in other book lists. It took me a whole month to read this book. It is heavy. Like, I had to take notes. I had to highlight just so I could actually retain the information in it. It is just to let you know that it's not like the revolution is not going to be comfortable. Liberation is not comfortable. It's a lot of work, it's sacrifice, and it takes an extreme level of understanding. Because I was applying for my PhD, I was planning to apply for my PhD, and in the process of doing research, I read What is African American History by, man, yeah, you know, I should look up these people's interviews and see if people pronounce their names. Pero Galglo Dagbovi. I know he teaches at like Eastern Michigan. He teaches at Michigan State. My homeboy, who is getting his cultural anthropology PhD at Harvard, recommended this read, and it's good if you're trying to figure out whether or not you want to study African American history, what you potentially will learn, what is the value, how African American history has been shaped within the world of academia. I mean, even if you're just interested in African American history in general, this is a good read, and it's not particularly difficult to get through. It's not like a heavy, you know, sometimes these academic books just get really heavy on like the super big words, the complex syntax, and get a little repetitive. This really is informative. I also have talked about the fact that I've read Colson Whitehead's The Underground Railroad. I did not like this book. It was not super bad, but it was just like, a man clearly wrote it. It had a woman protagonist, and it was just a lot of things they did. I was like, girl, what? Huh? It is about a literal magical underground railroad, like the railroad that was underground, and the slaves got on it, and they got on this railroad that was underground, and for some reason decided to settle in what state? North Carolina. I also completely reread my own book because I released it and republished it. It's cleaned up some grammatical errors. Self-publishing is really a thing. I do have a whole blog post plus video on how to do it yourself. But Send It On is my collection of short stories. It's following a young woman going through the evolutions of womanhood. This will be in my book club. I gotta learn to self-promote. I don't ever remind people that I published a book, and I'm very proud of the work I've done. So if you've read it, leave a review on Amazon or on Goodreads. And if you haven't, click the link down below to get you a copy. Okay, books that I have started and stopped. Here they are. I've started and stopped them. My one bookmark that I own. I don't own any of the bookmarks. The rest are like plane tickets. Okay? Oh, this was actually a picture of Elise. That is in The Cross and the Lynching Tree by James H. Cone. I do have a weird relationship with Christianity. I think, the basic questions is like, the religion that was used to enslave us, the religion that has come to glorify our personal wealth in the Western society, feeds into capitalism. But, what was I reading? Oh, Doreen St. Felix, who I really love, writes for The New Yorker. She quoted James H. Cone, and what was the story on? Was it on the victims of the Charleston shooting? I don't know, but it was just so like on the head that I was like, let me go. I want to be able to quote quotes like that too. So I picked this book up. I started it. Small text, long book. The character Issa was reading this book on Insecure, and everyone on Twitter was talking about it, so I picked it up. I think when I started reading this book, why I didn't finish it is because I just had a lot going on. I was like in the throes of really considering doing my PhD. I was reading history books, traveling all this time, doing all this stuff, and I didn't sit down to read the Turner House when I had like real time to read it, because there are like a lot of characters in the book, like a Gabriel Garcia Marquez book where there's just 1,000,001 characters, not like Game of Thrones level of characters, but like a good 7-8 characters, and they all have important storylines. It is like an ensemble cast here, and I didn't feel like I was giving it a fair chance, because I couldn't remember character names and character plot lines, because I just had so many other things in my mind. So I'm going to definitely finish this book because I've heard a lot of great things about it. And the writer, Angela Florno, girl, I just be butchering names, is in production talks, or she's producing a TV show with Issa Rae. So I feel like it was good. I had definitely talked about this book, Killing the Black Body. I actually got halfway through, as I said before, because I rented it from the library, borrowed it from the library. And then I realized I need to be able to take notes. I highlight girl, so I went back and got it, and I still am at 106. I feel like I'm like, it's just Dorothy E. Roberts. I'm gonna finish this. I picked up a Voice in the South. Again, this is the book I got from the library. The copy at the library is at Dallas Central Library, and it's like a collector, and like you have to get permission to take it out. So I didn't want to keep it out for too long, and then I wanted to take notes because some of the things I opened, and it was like a piece about Orientals, and I was like, oh, this is kind of xenophobic off the bat. But it was written in what, 1914? 1892. By Anna Julia Cooper. I shout out to the K's. Y'all got one here. I started, but some of us are brave. All the women are white, all the men are black. I love that quote. I low-key would have put it on the t-shirt. I just might. Okay, so I picked this up because I read another Barbara Smith book that I don't have a copy of. I gave it back to the library. And I really liked her writing. And I picked this up because I did that video on intersectionality and black feminism with the National Museum of African American History and Culture, and it talks about the Kampi. Lord, when I did that video, they made me say Kampahi 20 million times, and they were like, and I remember the lady saying like it is Kampahi, right? But like there is a really soft, and I'm like, Kampahi, and she's like, nah, bruh, it's Kampahi. Come in to the point where like it's just come in. I don't know, bro. You be trying to be smart and you just be mispronouncing stuff, and it's like whatever. And this is really just like the actual history, the work that was done to collect the history of black women, because even if you read the book about what is African American history, one thing you will note is that it is very male centric. The erasure of black women to the demotion of just being the slave woman, and not the breadth of like the names and the work that these black women have done through history. Just there hasn't been enough studying on it. It's kind of like we have studied black women as slaves. Ida B. Wells is getting a lot of flaws right now, and that's about it in academia. Like, there's a lot of space to come in and cultivate this history of black women, and to amplify the narrative of the work of the foundations that we have laid for society. So I was like, well, if I'm gonna be claiming that I'm fitting to take on this research and this work, well then you gotta read this. It's just like you obligated to. Alice Walker essay is in here, and she is the one who coined the phrase womanism, for those of you wondering about womanism versus feminism, black feminism. But the River Collective statement is in here. Michelle Wallace, who I really like fucked with her essay on the search for sisterhood. Not the one Delta Interest read. A black feminist search for sisterhood, you know. It's always kind of interesting when people are like, oh, I read this book, and they read it in like 2 days. I'm like, did you skim? Or did you really read all the words in the book? Did you read all the pages? Or did you just read the first sentence, the last sentence, and then like the in-between sentence? If you are a slower reader, don't beat yourself up. I don't think I read that much last year. But if you read 2 or 3 books, that is fine. You know, read in a style that allows you to retain knowledge. Don't just read for the sake of being able to say you read something and you can't absorb anything that the book spoke to. Again, I want to absorb what I read, and if I read too fast, I won't remember what I read. It'll just be words that just passed through my mind and went out. So let me know in the comments down below, what books did you read last year? Did you pick up any books off of any of the book lists that I put out, and what were your favorite ones? Have you ever been disappointed by anything I've recommended? Girl, let's just have a dialogue about what we read, what we inspired by, what's been going on, all right? And as always, the links will be down below in the description box. There'll be a blog post, evergreen, keep it floating. You can shop Smart Brown Girl. Cash shop it if you feel like it. And there's always a Patreon for those of you that want to be monthly supporters of Smart Brown Girl. Thanks for watching. Deuces.